pathway of air. So usually the human body contains a nose. So the end part of the nose is called as nostrils. The end part of the nose is called as nostrils. Usually the air enters into the human body through these nostrils only. Next, nasal cavity. Nasal cavity. So, nasal cavity, the space which is present, inside of the nostrils is called as nasal cavity. So, what happens here? The nasal cavity is made up of mucus lining. So, the moist surface of this lining, what it does, so it helps the atmospheric pressure, what is present, the air which is present outside, the mucus lining, it brings the outside air into the body temperature. It brings the outside of the air into our body temperature. And next, air is also present in the nasal cavity. So what is the function of air? So air is a mixture of gases, already we know. So along with the mixture, dust particles are also present in the air. So to avoid such dust particles, if the dust particles enters into our lungs, it causes damage to the lungs or infection to the lungs. So to avoid such condition, so these hair-like structures are present in the nasal cavity. So next, pharynx. Next, pharynx. So the human body takes food through the mouth and air through nostrils. So the part where the air enters and also the food enters, the common place where they meet is called as pharynx. This is the common place where the air enters and also the food enters is called as pharynx. So what is the specialty of this pharynx? So here pharynx, a flap-like structure is present. A flap-like structure is present. It is called as epiglottis. It is called as epiglottis. So what is the function of this epiglottis? So when we take the food from our mouth, immediately the pharynx closes the windpipe. It closes the windpipe. And when we take a breath, so the epiglottis, it closes the food pipe. So it is a muscular valve that controls movement of food and air towards their respective passages. That is the function of the epiglottis. Next, epiglottis. Now pharynx, it contains epiglottis. A flap-like muscular valve. So next, larynx. Immediately after the pharynx, a box-like structure is present. A box-like structure is present. This box-like structure is called as larynx or voice box. Voice box. So what is present here? So two vocal cords are present here. Vocal cords are present here. So it causes to vibrate. So when we are breathing or when we are releasing the sound, so this vocal cords gets vibrates. This vocal cords gets vibrates and sound basically produces. This is the function of the larynx. Next, trachea. So, after the pharynx, a long tube-like structure called as trachea. Called as trachea. So, what is the function of this trachea? It allows the passage of the air from outside to the inside of the lungs. Then again this trachea is divided into two parts. So these parts are called as bronchi or bronchus. So next, this bronchus or opens into the lungs. Opens into the lungs. So again this bronchus divides into number of chambers. Again it is divided into number of chambers. Number of chambers, and these chambers are called as number of branches, and these branches are called as bronchioles. The branches are called as bronchioles. So trachea divides into two, bronchus, and the branches of the bronchus is called as bronchioles. Next, the bronchioles contains a sac-like structures. A sac-like, sac is nothing but bag-like structures. So that structures are called as alveolus. So the structures are called as alveolus. So from alveolus, the air enters into the blood. The air enters into the blood. So what happens here? Alveoli. So the alveoli blood capillaries the blood capillaries contains blood cells. So from bronchioles, so the air enters, that is oxygen enters into the alveoli, alveolus, enters into the alveolus. So what happens? From here it enters into the blood capillaries, that is blood cells. It enters into the blood cells. So usually the concentration of the concentration of the air is less in the cell. So what happens? So the concentration of the air is more, the concentration of air is more in the alveolus, so that enters into the blood capillaries. Now already the cell contains glucose. Already the cell contains glucose. So when oxygen enters into the cell, it undergoes some metabolisms and it releases carbon dioxide plus water vapor. It releases carbon dioxide and water vapor. So again, from the blood cells, carbon dioxide enters into the alveoli. So from here it enters into the bronchioles. From bronchioles it enters into the bronchus. From there trachea, next larynx, pharynx. From there nasal cavity and expels outside through the nostrils.